What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. And this is episode 125 of Simon and Akdi Movie Reviews, and I'm here with my beautiful, sexy, gorgeous wife. Say hi, boo.
Hi, everyone. This is Akdi, and I'm from Turkey, and today we are reviewing a Japanese movie called Cure from 1997.
Yes, this is a neo-noir psychological horror film slash cop mystery film. Little bit of psych thriller, body horror-ish. You know what I mean? Philosophical film, I would say. Sociological film. That's the angle I'm going to go with it. Listen, she picked this movie, not me. Though it is a movie that I might have picked out. I'm not going to just put it on you. Like, oh, you know, you picked this film that I'm going to say I just kind of enjoyed. I'm not going to say I loved it. I can see why people really love this film, you know, after going back on YouTube and looking up think pieces on this. Some people say this is one of the greatest films of all time. I feel like they're glazing it a little bit, but I can see why people like it because I really like the acting. I really liked the directing, the filmography, the shots, the scenery, and the story had promise. It just didn't connect and land with me, and I'll talk more about that, but how did you feel about it?
Yeah, like, I was very confused at the end of the movie when we finished all of it. I was like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. And I had to, like, process it. I had to, like, look up some reviews, some breakdowns of it to, like, kind of fully comprehend. But I think what makes it, like, us not fully enjoying it is that it is far away from, like, the traditional Hollywood or Western, like, plot. Mm-hmm. Or also like the intention of making the movie. I feel like this movie like does have very new intentions. Mm-hmm. That like compared to American movies or European movies, it doesn't really make you reach to a conclusion. It just like leaves it all there, and I think that made me uncomfortable. I got you.
Yeah, because you know most of the films we watch tend to come from America. And if not, they tend to be Western films, and they tend to follow a similar sort of structure, right? With that big climax and also that definitive conclusion at the end, right? There are the exceptions, like films like Irreversible, which really don't have that, you know what I mean? But still, it's different watching one of these films. We haven't watched a Japanese film since we did Godzilla. We reviewed the Godzilla film. But we've seen some Eastern films that have been good, like Parasite, right? And I remember a few years ago we tried to watch another Japanese film called Shoplifters, and I got the same feeling from that as well as I got from this one, like not feeling as satisfied, feeling like it was a bit overhyped because I saw many people say it's such an excellent film. I'm just not seeing Japanese cinema yet. You know what I mean? I'm from America too. Like, we consume a lot of Japanese media, mostly anime and manga, right? And I've watched manga that's moved me, video games that have moved me, anime that's moved me and stuff like that. But Japanese live action cinema, I have not been hit yet. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about you.
And there's like a particular aspect of Japanese cinema that I enjoy, which is like that Orientalism and intricacies in it, especially when it comes to movies like psych thrillers. I think they do that well.
Another good one was Summer, Spring, Fall, then Spring Again, if you remember. I think that's Korean though, so I might say Korean does a bit better than Japan, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so I do think like they do also have like very brutal movies that I haven't seen all of them, like Old Boy, I think, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not also like the person that grew up with anime. I did not consume anime, but the ones I watched with you were good.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I do think like hopefully as it like keeps progressing, we will see better things from Japan.
Yeah, maybe we're just hit and miss right now. You know, I don't want to write off an entire country's cinema. You know what I'm saying? But so far, out of all the films we've watched, and we watch movies from everywhere, like, I don't know, Cameroonian movies, you know what I mean? Like, Ghanaian movies, you know what I'm saying? But Japan has been the most disappointing so far.
A little bit.
A little bit.
It's
for
just
me,
like hard for us to comprehend, especially with this movie. I feel like in traditional like movies that we watch, the director gives us a hint or a bait, and then we as the audience, we take it and we know what it means. Whether it's like foreshadowing or a symbol, but with Cure, I think we don't have that. Like,
right.
Or we have less of it, so it's like left to more interpretation, which could be like frustrating, because throughout the movie I was asking myself like, okay, like what is the reason, what is the cause, what is happening, who is it real, like constant questioning, and then at the end I didn't get answers.
I think that goes to why it's a psychological thriller, and also why I never became a psychologist or nor wanted to. I don't want to keep asking, why does he think that way? Fuck that. Kill that boy. Let's go over the story very quickly. Briefly, it's the story about this detective who's following a series of murders that seem to be done by a serial killer, because all the murder victims have a large X carved into their chest, and all the perpetrators of the murders that they catch very quickly, did it broad day, not tried to hide from it, and essentially confess to the crime, but they don't know exactly why they did the murders, right? And we find out later in the film that there's this young man who is a psychology student, who is the follower of this Austrian psychologist. What could go wrong? who is a part of this psychological cult that is all about, making people embrace who they are on the inside by making them forget who they are in the moment through hypnosis, essentially, is how I interpret the film. I don't know. What do you think of that interpretation?
Yeah. I mean, I can agree with the blame for like early Western psychology, like just fucking us all up, and that is, I could take the blame for that.
See, one thing you have to know about Akdi and I, I'm studying sociology, and she's very smart. She's smarter than me. She studies psychology, and she just recently got her master's in psychology. But I always tease her that psychologists have been like the root of all of like the bad things that have happened, like since like 1850 onwards. Psychologists have been like, if there's like the Holocaust happened, a psychologist was there. Like, who said, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Slavery, yeah. Psychologist was like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I'm not defending any like bad behavior or bad ethics. That's why we have ethics like taken very seriously today.
Yeah.
But back then that wasn't a thing. But at the same time, stop.
No. Because I was about to say, like, I tease you about it, but if you break it down, like all of the fields, even sociology, they were all founded by old racist white men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who and sociology, by the way, there's a lot of old racist sociologists as well. So you can tease me as well. But I just throw that at you.
I mean, I wasn't teasing you, but I was just gonna say, like, it didn't have to be that way, but because it did, we do have more information about humans.
Yeah, but
it didn't have to be that way.
But the thing is, sociologists can't really do experiments. Sociologists do mostly, surveys and data and analysis. Psychologists do experiments. And they're like, hey, what would happen psychologically if we give 7-year-olds cocaine for a month? Let's see what happens. And like, you know what I mean? Or like the Stanford prison experiment. Okay, you guys are prisoners and you other ones are fascist prison guards. Beat them. Let's see what happens. It's like, so
there is that creepiness about psychologists, I think. And I think as a society also we put like a bit of a, I don't know, like a power on them, that, like they can read our minds, they can know what we're thinking.
Because y'all are scary. Y'all are scary. They're like, oh no, they might do.
It doesn't work like that though.
Oh no, here come the psychologists with an experiment. Oh no. What's the scariest thing in the world? A psychologist with a hypothesis.
Wow.
I'm sorry. No, I'm joking with you. I'm sorry. I love you.
I'm quitting.
I'm joking.
Masters was for nothing.
No. Sociology is just as bad.
I'm gonna become a cook.
No, just sociologists are just as bad. Like, we're right along there with you with like, bad ideas. You know what I mean?
Sociologists founded like Nazism and communism
Yeah.
and capitalism.
Yeah,
in
just
a way.
everywhere. Just No, I agree with you. Like all of the big things are really bad. But anyway, going back to this film, once again, I said I like how it's shot. And I see how people like it, but I just want to give this one last comment out here. I think people that glaze this film are like either really, really heavy into film and know what they're talking about and know what it takes. Like somebody who maybe made a movie before. It's like me. Like I used to rap, so I listen to albums and I'm like, oh, that takes skill, that takes talent, that's a dope beat, crazy flow. There's that camp who likes this film, and then other camps I think are like fake movie buffs who just think, anything foreign is dope. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this film is just like, it's just It's just an film, in my opinion.
I do think this movie, like you said, it does require a specific eye that's like in the industry.
Yeah.
And me, I don't have that eye, so I didn't enjoy it as much as they did, possibly. Because, like, I was watching this one YouTuber, just watching it live and then making commentary as he watched. And he was like, oh my god, like this shot is so awesome, oh my god, I'm about to come, like it's so like nice. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't feeling the same way, even though I can appreciate the beauty of the shots.
Exactly. But anyway, let's walk through this story. The story is so complex that I'm just going to be reading the plot from Wiki, and we're going to be commenting on the paragraphs as they come. So this might be a long one or a short one, depending how the comments go, but let's get into it. So Kenichi Takaba, who is played by the actor whose name is
Koji Yakusho,
a Tokyo Metropolitan Police detective, is involved in the investigation of a bizarre series of violent killings by seemingly random perpetrators. In each case, the murderers have been caught close to the scene of the crime. Each one has been mutilated, or each victim has been mutilated, and they have a large carving of an X into the neck or chest of the victim. Although all of the perpetrators, the people that did the killing, readily confess and remember that they did the murder, none seem to have substantial motives or explanations for their actions. So the detective, Takabe, he is at a loss for words. And also, Takabe's private life is falling apart. He's married. It doesn't seem like he has kids. If he has kids, maybe they're grown and moved away. But his wife is like a stay-at-home woman, but she is suffering from like memory loss, and here in the text it says schizophrenia, and she often gets lost in the neighborhood. And the film opens with the wife going to like a psychologist who is like trying to help her regain her memory and do therapy by like reading a book. So what did you think of Takabe, the character, his introduction, his life, the murders, opening scenes, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, just first of all, I guess the opening scene where she's reading a book with a psychiatrist, and the book she's reading is called Bluebeard. I am not sure, but I feel like that's a British tale, like of a pirate or something. I don't know exactly, but if it is that, then it sort of makes me think like the Western roots of psychology, and like even in that setting, that's the kind of book that they're using to like, I don't know, cure her or whatever. But at the beginning, obviously we don't know. And I think I was just trying to make sense of like, okay, is this foreshadowing? Because the wife, I believe, said something like, and then the wife kills the husband, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think she said she will kill Bluebeard.
Okay, she will kill Bluebeard. Yeah, so, yeah, I was trying to like get a foreshadowing, but also like some of the shots of the city and like the locations, those were quite nice to look at, just the beginning to get a sense of like the vibe of the movie. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, part of me while watching this film, like looking at Detective Takabe like in his suit and the other guys in their trench coats, and like the police in the uniforms, and there's sort of like this gray texture sort of to the scenery. It came across a little bit fascist to me. There's like a fascist aesthetic to this film that's hard to pinpoint, even though I don't think this is an inherently a fascist film. And I think maybe that just might be the architectural design and the fashion design of late 90s Japan. Who knows? You get what I'm saying? But I was sensing a little bit of that, because there was parts of this film that reminded me of another film we watched, Salo, 180 Days of Debauchery, whatever, right? The Italian film. It's just whenever you see, handsome people in very nice suits, enforcing the law, and then, there's the gray texture to the film, it comes across like fashy to me. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Maybe that's how it's coded, like, sort of in your brain.
I guess so. I don't know. It's just...
I did not think of that.
I mean, that's just mine. That's just my interpretation. But also, the acting, I would say, generally, in this film is very good. I like Takabe's style of acting. He comes across, like, very straight-laced. And also, the character doesn't do anything stupid. Like, throughout the film, he seems like a reasonable dude. He's not... I wasn't yelling at the screen like, oh, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Even when later on in the film, he starts to, like, lose his mind and stuff. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this is still a good main character who's making the right choices and responding reasonably. Definitely,
yeah. We were rooting for Takabe, I think, overall throughout the movie.
Yeah. Because the one thing you hate is watching a film and saying, this idiot.
Yeah,
And we watched a film with a detective called The Treatment. And in that film, he's chasing pedophiles throughout his hometown. And we were like, this idiot deserves to get molested. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
Yeah, we mentioned that movie too many times just because of how stupid
exactly. But no, Takabe was cool. Going to also the opening scenes, I think the way violence is portrayed in this film is very interesting because we never see any, like, explicit, real, hardcore bloody violence other than, like, maybe the first scene when the guy kills the prostitute in the hotel room and then he washes the blood in the shower and stuff like that. And the film never gets too gory with the violence, and parts of the film feel like a bit fantastical as well. Like, I was expecting, like, one of the characters that we'll talk about later, Mamiya, I was expecting him to be able to levitate and, like, shoot electricity out of his eyes or something. Because if you remember at the beginning of the film, when Takabe's wife is sitting at that table with the doctor, the table starts to shake. Mm-hmm. And I know Japan has a lot of earthquakes, but it didn't feel like an earthquake. It felt like, oh, she's using her brain for psychic powers. I don't know if you thought that too. I didn't know where the film was going. I had no idea what it was going to be.
I mean, the way that the therapist reacted made me think that she was just, like, shaking her leg to shake the table.
I see.
Like she was having a bit of a seizure or an episode or something.
But later in the film, the building does shake, though. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It does. No. And there is sort of reasoning, like a physical reasoning for that as well, but we don't know if it justifies the whole building shaking.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I think also in the beginning, like the way we see the first murder happening, we have like this cheerful tone in the background. And it almost sounds like very, I don't know, like you know how there are those like mischievous American movies, like Wes Anderson movies, and you would have like this cheerful music in the background. That's the kind of music you have with this like grimy Japanese murder happening on the screen. And I think you're just like kind of shocked. Yeah. That like that just happened, and you're like, okay, like I don't know what the fuck just happened. Yeah, like the film does play with your mind and your own memory, and the main thing about this film is that it's about memory. It's about who are you if you do not remember? Like, can you be held responsible for your memories, for your actions if you have no memories? And how do we treat people that do have severe memory loss? Like, are they even guilty of their crime, right? But let's move forward in the story. So Takabe, the detective, together with his friend and colleague, forensic psychologist Shin Shakuma, who is played by the actor Tsuyoshi Uzuki.
I love just hearing her say Japanese names. That's funny. Anyway, he eventually identifies a common thread connecting all the murders. Each killer, shortly before killing, came in contact with a man named Kunio Mamiya, who was played by
Masato Hagiwara.
That was actually very good.
I know.
That was good. Mamiya appears to have extreme short-term memory loss and claims to recall nothing of his past. In custody, Mamiya constantly evades Takabe's questions by asking about the detective's identity and private life. Sakuma has Mamiya transferred to prison care ward. The pressure of the unsolved cases and his wife's deteriorating condition take a toll on Takabe, causing him to lose his composure. At one point during the questioning, he expresses resentment towards Fumi in front of an amused Mamiya. Okay, so that's a lot of the story right there, but you know, I thought Mamiya was an interesting villain in this film. I was hoping that the layers would be peeled back more and more for him, and they were slowly throughout this film. But I was still also frustrated with, like, you know, I don't like this coy playing stuff like that. Because, like, when we first meet Mamiya, he meets this guy on the beach, and he's like, where am I? And the guy's like, you're at the beach. And he says, okay. Then he says, where am I? And I'm like, this whole Keanu Reeves type of dude, where the fuck am I? Like, this whole doty dummy shit really pisses me off sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's, like, kind of the point, because it also pisses people off in the movie. Like, people are getting frustrated, and they're met with this stranger that has some sort of, like, I don't know, interesting aura, I guess. And they're trying to learn more about this guy who they just met, but the guy is not able to tell them about himself because he's constantly forgetting. He has some sort of, like, mental, you know, discapability. And then at one point, he just asks them, well, I can't remember who I am, but you can. How about you tell me about you? And that's when he sort of, like, takes over his victims. Right. Because I don't know what happens there. We barely see it.
He uses a tool. He uses the lighter, and we also see that he can use other ways of hypnotizing people, right?
Like water.
Like water as well, right? So, yeah, when he first meets his first victim that we see, it's this guy who picks him up at the beach because he feels sorry for him that this guy doesn't seem to know who he is and stuff like that. And then, you know, the guy says, oh, my wife is sick. She's upstairs sleeping. And then Mamiya says, you know, well, I'm going to light a cigarette. Now you tell me about you, right? And he does the most intense therapy that could ever happen to somebody that makes you want to do the final solution in life. Kill yourself. Kill yourself and then kill somebody else. And so his first victim ends up killing his own wife, or at least the victim that we see tied to Mamiya kills his own wife and then jumps out of a window.
Yeah. And also, like, these scenes happening, him jumping out of the window, it also happens so, like, abruptly and just, like, no warning, no sound effects, no, like, you know, inkling to it. It just happens, and you're like, okay.
As a psychologist, how would you feel if after a therapy session somebody goes home and murks their wife and jumps out a window?
Oh my God, I would feel guilty. Like, I mean, you're not supposed to be, like, you know, blaming yourself as a psychologist if you, like, conducted everything ethically. You're not supposed to be blaming yourself if someone commits suicide or hurt somebody else and you didn't see the signs. Yeah. But I would definitely blame myself.
Yeah. Now, the scenes between Takabe and Mamiya, I thought were some of the most interesting scenes in the film. Like when Takabe takes Mamiya into questioning, and there's like this tense, back and forth between them, right? Because like Takabe, he's once again that straight-laced type of dude who's trying to get to the bottom of things, and Mamiya is like playing, with everybody he meets throughout the film. He's like, I don't know who I am and stuff like that, no matter who he's with. But Takabe is the first guy to put like a picture in front of his face and be like, well, who is this? And it's a picture of him, and he's like, I know who this is. You know what I mean? And that sort of like breaks the act, because I think Mamiya is acting. But what do you think? So? Do you think Mamiya actually doesn't know who he is? He's under some sort of spell? Or do you think it's a way that he uses his hypnosis powers?
I think he knows that he's not sane, but I think he doesn't give a fuck about it. And that's what makes him powerful. And that's what, like, rids him of having, like, a conscious. That's what makes him, like, being able to manipulate people and kill people through other people. I think, like, he uses it as a power, but I do believe that he does have, like, some sort of, it could be schizophrenia, it could be bipolar, it could be amnesia, it could be multiple things at the same time. So, yeah, I do think he's aware, but he uses it as a strength, not as a weakness.
I got you.
Which is an interesting take.
It's just like towards the end of the film when things started falling apart for the villain, right? It made me think about this saying we have in America: a wise man can act like a fool, but a fool cannot act like a wise man. And so, like, Mamiya is hands down very smart. We find out that he was this, brilliant psychology student who ended up dropping out and moved into like a shack in the middle of like a junkyard, and all he does is like read psychology books all day, and he comes across this, old psychologist who was banned from Japan because in Japan they considered his version of hypnosis therapy like heresy, like a type of blasphemy. And so, he is a genius, right? So I think he's just so smart that he can play a fool and make people believe it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I was contemplating the idea while we were watching it. I don't know if I actually came to a conclusion, but like I said, I think he was aware, but he was using it as a strength.
Yeah.
Not necessarily acting like a fool, but he actually did have memory loss, but he didn't mind it.
Well, let's talk about Mamiya's motive for all of this, right? And I think this is also a good time to talk about the psychologist who was working with the police, Shin Sakuma. So, there's a conversation that happens with Detective Takabe and Shin Sakuma where they're like, they have this theory: what if this guy is making people kill people through his words or influence or something like that? And Shin Sakuma says something like, you cannot make somebody just murder somebody unless they really wanted to. You can't make somebody do something evil unless deep down inside they wanted to do evil. You know what I mean? And the film continues on as they pull the thread back on where Mamiya came from. It's like he was a part of this, cult of people that followed this psychologist and his version of hypnotherapy. But I don't think like an exact motive was given for Mamiya's reason for making people do this, other than what Shin Sakuma said, like he's the missionary for like a church, which must mean that Mamiya just thinks he is ordered to do this by God. He has the power to do this, so why not use it? You know what I mean? But what do you think?
I mean, Sakuma kind of said it like, some criminals don't have motives and they just do it to do it. So yeah, I think that could be it. But I also, through like many YouTube essays I've watched, a lot of people were saying that Mamiya's motives represent like this getting rid of social masks that we, use in society. And once we get rid of those masks, you could see that essentially a lot of the people might be evil. And I think Mamiya might say, like, just his actions and his motives might be saying, like, hey, in the essence, a lot of us might want to do really bad things because of how society is situated. And also, that's not really something bad because that's how nature works. Because I think this movie makes death like very natural, because we just like it just happens without any warning, and then afterward there isn't any grief or anything like that towards it. So that's sort of like my interpretation of the interpretation online. But yeah, like when we were watching the movie, the way I saw Mamiya's motive was that I don't know, maybe it's a power play, maybe it was like a sociopathic thrill of killing in a way, or
maybe it's an experiment.
That I was gonna say that, like, especially after finding out that he was also a psychologist, it was like, oh, okay, like he's doing an experiment on the human psyche or something.
I like the idea that he is getting rid of social norms and social masks. I just don't like the idea that the film takes with that and says, okay, if you take away people's social masks, all they really want to do is murder. And not murder anybody in particular, murder random people. You get what I'm saying? That's what makes it fall apart for me, because, why would this guy kill a random prostitute? Why did the police officer shoot his homeboy who works as a cop as well? Why did, the doctor that he made kill somebody, just start to rip off somebody else's face. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think the film would have been more interesting had people decided to do different things that they deep down inside want to do if their social mask was gone. But what do you think?
I think they were doing different things. Even though we don't know a lot about the victims, we don't know anything about the first victim, right? She was a prostitute or she was the wife, whatever. The second victim, I think we can assume to a level like all spouses might have some level of hate for each other. Not that that's the dominating thing, but yeah, like a husband might like really dislike his wife's some behaviors, and that might like grow into something bigger, and that's how like femicides happen sometimes. There's that in the first victim. There's the killer that was the doctor lady, right? She actually like somewhat verbally gets harassed by one of her male patients, and then we see her becoming one of the killers, and she kills another man because Mamiya says, "Oh, you actually just wanted to cut up a man." She's like, he's playing into her hatred of men. I'm continuing. Wait, I think also the reason why Takabe and also the therapist Sakuma was hard to crack, because they were supposed to be the most righteous ones that are protecting the society and the humanity. That's why Takabe was very hard to penetrate for Mamiya. But, I mean, I guess he did at the end, a little bit spoiler. And for Sakuma, he committed suicide. And it was like, for me, he was the most moral one because he decided to take his own life instead of actually killing someone else. So he I don't think I am the person I hate the most.
I don't think Shin Sakuma killed himself. I think Takabe killed him.
No.
That's what I think. Come on. He handcuffed himself to the fucking top of his dorm room or whatever and then strangled himself to death. Yeah. Also, my best friend shot himself twice in the back of the head. Yeah. Like, come on. Make it make sense. That don't make no sense to me.
But why would Takabe do that?
I think, he was like sick of Sakuma's shit. Sakuma, he found out.
Been helping him.
He jumped ahead and he found out that Sakuma was actually under the spell too, because he had been studying the old Austrian psychoanalyst hypnotist, and had Takabe found a giant X on his wall too. You know what I mean? And I think Shin Sakuma was in on it, and Takabe was like, "Listen, man, time to take the law in my own hands. These fucking psychologists gotta go." He goes on psychologist genocide. Like, he goes on a killing spree.
Wow. The way I imagined it in my head was like, okay, you have the evil psychologist, and then you have the good psychologist, and when the evil psychologist's philosophy makes sense, the good psychologist said, "Fuck this world."
Yeah, that theory would make sense if there was a good psychologist. I'm sorry.
Why do I have to justify my profession?
I'm sorry. I'm going to find some real...
for 6 years.
I'm sorry. I'm going to find some bad sociologists so you can roast me.
No, stop roasting me.
I'll stop. But no, that's just my theory, though. This film allows you to have multiple theories, by the way, about what happened. You know what I mean? And, I still don't feel like, like the victims and the motives make much sense, in my opinion. Right? Like, maybe you could see the woman doctor killing a man as like a revenge against patriarchy and stuff like that. I just feel like it's a bit of a reach. And also, all the people that did kill show a lot of regret. You know what I mean? Like the man that killed his wife, there's this really cool scene where he breaks down in the interrogation room and starts crying and like losing his mind and stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's what, like, he's back to society, and that's what society sort of forces you to do. Feel guilt and shame over doing something bad. And I'm not saying that's particularly a bad thing, but I think that's what Mamiya thinks. Mamiya thinks like the way society restrains us in that way, it is bad. And that's why we should like let all hell loose. And when we do that, the people who will die, it's fair. I think that's how Mamiya sees it.
I get where you're coming from with that. I just feel like that's my take on the film. You actually took my take, so I'm not even going to reverse it. My take of the film is like the film is trying to say, like, if you don't have your memory, we are not as tied to society. Our social ties and bonds and the rules that we abide by are all based on our memory of the rules around us, but also a memory of self as well. And when all those are lost, then, there's no moral grounding for anything. Because I think you and I both would say that everybody who did kill somebody in this film, other than Mamiya, is innocent, right? No?
Yes.
Yeah? I think the film makes them out to be innocent, like the man that kills his wife, the woman that kills the rando at the hospital. Mm-hmm. I think we say they're innocent.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the film is trying to say. Like, when we lose identity of self and when we lose consciousness of our world around us, the innocence is there. That's how I interpret this film. And I think that has broader implications because the question then asks, okay, let's say, for example, I come home one day and find somebody in bed fucking my wife, right? And in a fit of rage, it's all black. Next thing I know, I'm in jail, covered in blood. Am I guilty of that murder? You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, but in my head, it's the flipped way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's mostly good, but then there's a bad in every person. And that's what, like, sort of this Mesmer, not Vermeer, Mesmer was, like, saying this animal magnetism, that there's, like, this thing, a fluid, magnetic fluid.
Well, that theory doesn't come up in the film, but that is the real theory because Mesmer is a real psychologist who lived, and he had this crazy theory. All right, go ahead.
That every person has this like magnetic fluid in them, and that causes them to do like bad things. It also causes illnesses, and that's why it's very weird. Like he was using magnets to actually extract that like fluid and to heal people, and part of that was like it wasn't hypnotism. I think I learned that hypnotism was born to like clash that idea, but it helped birth hypnotism as well.
Psychological hypnotism.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know exactly where we are in this because we're sort of all over the place, just like this film, I guess. But I think this film makes us ask a deep social question about compulsion and responsibility if you lose your identity. You know what I'm saying? Going to Takabe, right? There's a scene later on in this film when he drops his wife off at the doctor, and the doctor says, I think you need to rest because you look more sick than her, right? And Takabe seems to be a man obsessed with his work, consumed by his work. His identity is as a detective, right? He might have lost his self in his job, right? And I'll just go full-on Marxist critique of this film. I think the film is saying, like, a lot of these people have lost themselves in their identities that they take on in this capitalist society. Detective Takabe thinks, I am a detective. No, you're a husband, you're a man who should take care of his wife, etc. Going to Mamiya. Mamiya, in and of himself, lost himself in his pursuit to become a psychologist rather than just to be his natural human self. You know what I mean? Shin Sakuma, the other psychologist as well, lost himself in his pursuit to become something in this labor market that's differentiated. I don't know. That's my theory. That's how I interpret it.
I think that's definitely very valid because the constant question Mamiya is asking is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And the first answer he gets is either their name, their profession, that they have a wife, they have a husband, whatever. But like after they say that stuff like 10 times, after the 10th time they've been asked by Mamiya, it's like they're kind of going blank. They're being hypnotized at that moment. And Mamiya, in return, he doesn't know who he is. And then with the scene with the lady doctor, he says like, I am empty myself, but I can see all of you. So it's like, like you said, I don't have an identity, but I know all of you are hiding behind some identity.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna reach. I'm reaching now. As we build and talk about this film, it gets more interesting. This is usually how it happens. I'm gonna argue maybe Mamiya wanted them to take a life because that is the ultimate crime in any society. And once you take a life, you lose all access to that previous identity you had. You used to be a doctor, now you're a murderer. You used to be a detective, now you're a murderer. You get what I'm saying? And so when we send people to prison, they become now so in confinement and in penitentiaries where all they can be is to the outside world ascribed identities of prisoners, convicts. But now you can be your true self because you have nothing else you can do. So maybe he wanted to send everybody to jail. I don't know. I'm now reaching in there. I think also there's a argument to be made. This film is about, the value of life in our society, because Japan is one of the few countries in the world that has the death penalty, and they bring up the death penalty within this story as well. They say Mamiya could get the death penalty, so maybe the film is trying to say the state can take lives, so why can't we take lives as well? If we're going to make this idea that the government has the right to decide who can live and die, let's just let everybody decide that as well. You get what I'm saying? He was a full anarchist. He was a full bratty, bussy popping anarchist.
I mean, yeah, that might be. And also I think some of the theories were saying that he lived vicariously through like his victims. Mm-hmm. And maybe he didn't even exist and he was just that, like, I don't know, energy, not energy, but like that force. Yeah, we're reaching that force that is in all working class, all like regular old people who deal with regular problems.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Shall we continue?
Yes.
Searching through Mamiya's belongings, Takabe and Sakuma discover that Mamiya used to study psychology, specifically mesmerism and hypnosis. Takabe suspects that Mamiya has no memory problems at all and is in fact a master of hypnosis, capable of planting homicidal suggestions in strangers' minds by exposing them to repetitive sounds such as the motion of water or the flame of a light. Takabe has Mamiya charged with incitement to murder. After experiencing a vision of Fumi's suicide, he commits her to a mental hospital. So that was probably one of the most powerful scenes in the film when Takabe like rushes home because he feels like that Fumi is dead or something like that, or something bad happened to her, and we rush home and we find her like hanging, and then Takabe like says, "No."
That was so good.
That was very good. But then it cuts to like the real world, and Fumi's looking at him like, "Bruh, what is wrong with you?" You know what I mean? So, and then she has to suffer the consequences because, yeah, she does stupid stuff like, okay, she turns the washing machine on with no clothes because she forgot how to do laundry or something, or she gets lost in the neighborhood. But she's kind of cool. She's kind of okay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Takabe is having homicidal fantasies of his own wife.
I mean, that's what sort of we were talking about with Mamiya's motive.
Yeah. Like,
I think this movie does say something in the lines of, like, not everyone who is, like, a schizophrenic, who has schizophrenia or, like, those type of mental illnesses are suffering. Mm-hmm. Like, y'all who are, like, putting on masks and hiding behind your jobs and hiding behind your money and titles might be the ones who suffer more, just like how you said with the doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that also proves that point as well, that she was kind of okay with her life.
Yeah, she was kind of getting along, and if Takabe was not so obsessed with his job, he could have spent more time with his wife and appreciated her to deal with her mental illness, right? That's my assessment of their relationship. I feel like they try to make it seem like Takabe was a nice guy for taking his wife to a psychologist to get treatment and stuff like that, and saying, "Oh, baby, after this case, let's go to the south of Japan or whatever." But at the end, he kind of was a dick to her. I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah. I mean, he was a workaholic, so it wasn't like that intentional, but I guess it was in a way, because yeah, like you make choices that determine your life. But I think also what made like those moments kind of intriguing was that also we saw Takabe slowly losing his mind as he like talks to Mamiya more and more.
Yeah.
And has like spends time in his apartment and has more interactions with him. Like we see him having visions, having like sort of I thought like that was his instinct wanting to kill his wife coming out. Like he imagined her dead and then
that's crazy.
Consciously he didn't blame it on himself. He saw her like committing suicide, but that wasn't real. It's like what his unconscious wanted in a way. So I was feeling like, oh, Takabe is caving into the evil of Mamiya, trying to like, you know, do to his victims, but it's just taking it longer with him because he's always trying to do the right thing, and that's what he does as well. When he feels like he's gonna harm his wife, I felt like he sent him to the hospital because I think he was scared of himself. That's how I interpret it.
Mamiya, Mamiya, he makes me want to kill my wife.
Don't say that.
This is the part of the movie. I'm just saying.
This movie makes you paranoid.
It does make you paranoid that your wife is gonna rip your face off in a bathroom stall.
Or my husband is gonna hit me with a pipe.
No, trust me, I wouldn't be caught dead around any other psychologist.
But no, for real, I'm just gonna point out like one thing. I really like the shots where the hypnosis is going on, and also like these random sounds in the movie. Like in the dry cleaners, when you know Takabe enters his house, there's always like the washing machine going on, or the lights flickering. It does feel like a hypnosis in itself, and I didn't realize it when I finished the movie. But then at the end I was like, bro, like I'm as confused as Takabe right now, you know?
That is an interesting take. Like things around us can make us hypnotized. The sound of a washing machine, the sound of whirring fans and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like when Mamiya was hypnotizing people with water.
Yeah, drip, drip, drip.
Yeah, like like the way the water was shown.
Yeah.
It's like slowly, no sound effect. It's just like you and that moment. I don't know. It was mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
No, like you know, the way the movie is put together is very good. But I'm not against music in films, and I thought maybe this film would have been good with some music. You know what I mean? I think certain points could have been highlighted with a bit of like lo-fi stuff in the background. You know, I don't like just watching these silent films where everything's quiet, then the next scene, the sound of a truck passing by and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I don't like it. I usually don't like it when movies don't have any music. This movie had like very, very minimal music, maybe one or two times throughout the movie, and that music was also unfit, like in a satirical way. And I think it was done intentionally, and I was also like disturbed by the sounds in the movie, but I liked that.
Really?
If that makes sense.
Okay. Well, before we move on, quick. FMK, Takabe, Mamiya, Sakuma.
Of course, I'm gonna marry Sakuma. Like he's my psychotherapist husband.
Okay.
Oh my God, kill Mamiya.
Kill Mamiya.
He's a stick boy. Have you seen this guy from like the side? He was so thin. Takabe, of course, he's a handsome guy. Like Takabe has got it going on. Okay. So fuck him.
Okay.
I mean, fuck him as in fuck him. not like.
No, I'm saying fuck Takabe. Fuck Takabe. Fuck that guy. All right. Interesting choice. Well, moving on. So Sakuma shows Takabe a videotape featuring a mysterious man speculated to be Sojiro Bakuro, the originator of Japanese mesmerism and Mamiya's mesmerism literature. In the video, a female subject was hypnotized by the man who gestured an X in midair. The woman later killed her son in a manner similar to the crimes they are investigating. Sakuma believes the crimes have a connection to the past and describes Mamiya as a missionary of ceremonial murders. Subsequently, Sakuma unconsciously draws an X in black paint on his wall and starts to experience hallucinations of Takabe menacingly cornering him. Several days later, the police discover Sakuma's body handcuffed to a pipe in his home and conclude that he committed suicide. So, I think, once again, my theory is that Mamiya is a part of this psycho-hypnosis church, right? And he's just continuing the work of a long-dead psychologist, right? No different than, there's people that try to resurrect these, like, old ideas and these old religions. You'll find people that secretly follow, like, Zeus and Odin and, Shango and different stuff.
I mean, mesmerism is still a thing. There are still people who
follow Mesmer. Yeah, I mean, there's those types of people in the world. So I think that's an interesting thing. I just wish the movie, concluded with that cult sort of, because cult movies are great. You know what I mean? When you discover a hidden cult and they're doing ceremonial murders with magic, that's sick. That's sick. But I think the cult warehouse was like this place that Takabe goes in the end and finds like a nurse working there. So maybe there's a bunch of cultists that live there. But Mamiya was sent out as like the missionary to like kill people in the name of their god or deity. I don't know. It's still confusing. What do you think?
Okay, I thought the nurse was in a different hospital where Fume is. But anyway, I think that's exactly like what I was talking about in the beginning, where like if this was a Western American movie, we would have like the motive of the cults. We would have a flashback,
like in Martyrs.
This was the goal of the cult, and like now this is how Mamiya is trying to revive it or do it again or whatever. But here it's like we don't get any explanation. We just say, oh, he might be a missionary, but missionary to do what exactly? Okay, this was a type of cure that they thought worked. But like, did it, or like, what did they exactly do? Because all we see in the video is, okay, the psychologist does the X, and that's why we know it's like connected. But then I don't know, did that psychologist in the 19th century did something else? Like, we don't have any of these answers, and that's why I think it just gets frustrating for me to, sort of understand the motives and whys. But I do think Sakuma, we see Sakuma going into Mamiya's cell and talking to him, and then we have like this vision where Takabe is there instead of Mamiya. And that's why I think you might be right by suspecting that Takabe killed Sakuma. I still don't think he did, but when he sees that Sakuma is dead, it's like he already knew.
Yeah, because he did it. That's what I'm saying.
Either he did it or he knew he was going to die because he saw the X and he's like, I know you're going to die soon.
Yeah. I mean, my final major theory, I guess I'll run with it, is that Takabe, ends up killing Sakuma, and he ends up killing Mamiya as well, and inadvertently ends up continuing the killing process, right? He thought by killing them that he's getting rid of it, but instead it just passed on to him.
Yeah,
right?
He catches the magnetic fluid.
Yeah. Oh God, that's so dumb.
Of like Mesmer, I guess.
That's so dumb. But I think the character Sajiro Bakuro, right, is the Japanese guy who introduces this new idea. I think maybe the film is trying to talk about this idea that, when ideas travel from culture to culture, they, sometimes transform and change, like, communism with Chinese characteristics, like, stuff like that, right? And so maybe when mesmerism hits Japan, they say, oh, good idea, hypnotize people to kill. What? Like Mesmer might have been like, no, we might use this to take out the bad fluids in their body. But like, no, we use this for murder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, I think there was a point where like it was their last conversation before Sakuma died, and they were talking about like what was happening in Japan when this influence came, and yeah, I don't specifically remember like what they were talking about, but it definitely is a point to think like, oh, for example, when Turkey was transitioning from Ottoman Empire to being like a more European empire, being a republic, a lot of ideas penetrated then. For example, a lot of ideas traveled then. And yeah, like it also matters like how the society was transitioning at that time. And I think maybe also during that time the Japanese society was influenced by Western world a lot.
Yeah, I think Japan has had an off and on history with the West. Like they'll be open or forced to be open by the West, and then they close down for 100 years. You know what I mean? And the way Japan absorbs ideas, they take them. Sometimes they refine them and make them better. Like they took the automobile and boom, now we got Toyota Hiluxes and shit like that. And then other times, we get tentacle porn, and it's like, oh, this was not what animation was for. We did not we did not come with pencils and paper that you jumping this up. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's like, when you go to a different culture, and by the way, it works the opposite way too, because things can travel from Japan and penetrate our cultures, and we flip it around and stuff like that. Like they have American styles of anime and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And there's different stuff, man. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting sort of theme in the movie, I guess. But yeah. So I'm going to continue on here. Mamiya escapes from prison, killing a policeman in the process. Takabe tracks him to a deserted building and shoots him. And I love that scene. I love that because it made me say, well, this movie could have been over in 5 minutes. If this was in America, they would have said, hey, pop, pop, pop. It would have been over. But before dying, Mamiya draws an X in the air in front of Takabe. Exploring the building, Takabe finds and plays an old phonograph cylinder containing a recording of a male voice, thought to be that of Bakuro, repeating what seems to be hypnotic instructions. Shortly after, Fumi's already decomposed corpse is found by a nurse with an X savagely carved into her throat. In a restaurant, a waitress serves Takabe, walks away, is whispered to by several staff members, and silently draws a knife. Okay, so when we watched the movie, that woman who is dead at the end, and she's attached to a pole or something, and it looks like her body's been decomposed. She's been killed with a giant X on her, and I didn't realize it was her, and I still don't understand how she died, how she ended up in the warehouse, because it looked like she died in the warehouse and not in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
the two buildings look kind of similar because they're like dark. So yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
I feel like that deserted building where Mamiya gets shot and killed and stuff like that. That's supposed to be the church, the place where people who follow Mesmer meet up and get indoctrinated and then go out and spread their thing. I think that fat psychologist was in on it, and maybe he took Fumi's wife, Fumi Takabe's wife there to get killed. Maybe he killed her. I don't know. It doesn't make that much sense to me. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like the X that Mamiya drew in front of Takabe was not finished because Takabe does it so gangster. He stands over Mamiya and says, pow, 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 like right in his face multiple times while he's like, let me do one last fucking curse on you. And Mamiya's he gets his own shit pushed in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like Takabe fucking, his face is destroyed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like maybe the film is saying, oh, Takabe is possessed now. He got the X. He got indoctrinated. And now he's telling the nurse to kill people. I don't know.
No,
or the waitress to kill people at the restaurant at the end. I don't know. Ending is horrible for me.
Really?
Horrible ending for me. Hate it.
I like the ending. I mean, it was very abrupt how Mamiya died. But it's like when Takabe enters that building, he sees the old Japanese guy who started the mesmerism in Japan. But his face is very blurred, so you only see a white round thing and not actually a face. which also like kind of dives into the memory is not there like thing that Mamiya has going on, and it feels like that's where it started for Mamiya, and this is where it will transition to the next person as well. That kind of, I felt like that was the thing. And also previously, I don't know like when it was, but just previously we see Mamiya like smacking, what is that thing called? The carburetor?
Yeah, the heater.
The heater. And that's like the first time we see him like actually physically frustrated and attacking something.
But when he's hitting that thing, he's shaking the whole building.
Yeah,
or something
he's shaking the whole building. And I felt like those two scenes like combined at the end, that was Mamiya sort of coming into terms with his own death. Even though death has been so easy for him to inflict on other people, he still had to come into terms with his own death. And when he walked into that building, knowing Takabe was going to be there, I think he already knew that he was going to die. And he was going to somehow transfer this idea to Takabe. And I think he might have, the first time I watched it, I think Mamiya killed Fumei, Takabe's wife, because he also knew about Takabe's wife. He knew how Takabe did not, like, found her as a burden. So I feel like Mamiya also got rid of her in order to set Takabe fully free, in that sense.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you? Who are you? Where am I? What am I? What's happening? What's going on? Who are you? No, who are you really?
Stop.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's my theory.
That is a very good theory, Akdi, and I have no other words to say about this movie because it's beyond my level of intellect. It's beyond my level of intellect. The ending was just so unsatisfying for me after reading it, because after watching it, what did you say after we watched it? You said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
those are your first words.
No, I had to simmer in it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just feel a little bit, left out in the cold, in the wind with that ending. I could understand if somebody walks away and says, "Oh yeah, Takabe is now the new leader," whether he likes it or not. He saw the face of Mesmer, because actually the face he saw in the warehouse is a bit different than the one in the book. The one in the book that they saw of Mesmer from Mamiya's house is like fully white, but the one that he sees in the warehouse is like faint, where you can kind of see the face.
Yeah.
So like seeing the face of Mesmer is part of the initiation. Then he heard the phonograph recording. Mm-hmm. He got the X in front of him. Okay. And then his wife died as a sacrifice to the god of what the idea.
No.
So now everything is complete for him to be the carrier, and then he tells a waitress to go kill somebody, etc.
No, I think at the end of the movie he's not aware of his like power, because I think he doesn't know his wife is dead, and he's just happy that like he actually caught and killed the guy, Mamiya. So I think he's just like, oh, like, I'm the victor in this situation. And then he lights up the cigarette, and that's when everything happens with the waitress. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, he doesn't realize that what he's doing, but he is doing something with lighting his cigarette or accepting a coffee, like, whatever it was that hypnotized that waitress.
I mean, the film leaves...
He did something.
The film leaves us on that cliffhanger, but it's not out of the ordinary for a waitress to grab a knife. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and
but the way she grabbed it was like this, like how Scream grabbed it, Like the backhand. Yeah, but still, she was still walking with it, and then we don't see what she does with it. Maybe she grabbed it weird because she's a weird little waitress. That's why she's working minimum wage. I mean, I think that was also one of the points that everyone sort of pointed out, that, now after what we've seen, we can't help but think that maliciousness is in certain things, Mm-hmm. So it automatically does trigger us.
Yeah.
To see like the waitress grabbing a knife.
So I'm just going to finish off with the, at least for me, you can continue building if you want. I just really want to read this quote from the director, Kurosawa. He says about Cure, I watched a lot of American horror movies growing up, and I had wanted to make a movie in that genre for some years. Then the growth and popularity of genre films made it easier for me to get the project financed and produced. So the circumstance was the key factor to the success of Cure, and it has continued to play an important role in my career ever since. And that's what he has said about this film. This film is very important for him. Many directors say this is one of the best films of all time, and hardcore movie buffs feel like it's one of the best films of all time. For me, what makes a great film is great dialogue, interesting characters, a captivating plot, and also, I think, some commentary on society, I think. And while this film, I think, has all of those things, it has them at a very low level. You know what I mean? And also, it doesn't just speak to me. In a personal preference type of thing, I can understand why people think it's great. It's just not for me, I would say. So my final score for this is like a 6.5. Maybe a 6. Maybe a solid 6 is better. I wouldn't want to watch it again. I would like to see some other things from this director. Maybe some more current films rather than his older work. But that's just me. I've heard Chime is good.
By this director?
Yeah. A film he made called Chime is good. But I don't know. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think my final score is also going to be 6. Honestly, because while I can when someone is explaining it to me, I can see some of the brilliances in this movie. Like you said, as I was watching it, I didn't feel it, which made me not enjoy it as much as those people did. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I do love a good detective psych horror movie. I love it, and a lot of the people were comparing this movie to Seven. Have you seen Seven?
Seven Deadly Sins with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, it's Seven, not Seven Deadly Sins.
No, that's how I know it by, but I don't know. I'm stupid.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Well, a lot of people were comparing it to that, and I love Seven. Mm-hmm. But Seven does give you the meat of it, and you're not left with what the fuck just happened. Yeah. But you do still have some commentary to make on it, and I just feel like this is a very blank slate type of movie. Yeah. And for me, that wasn't as thrilling as some other movies that are similar to this. So 6.
Yeah, it's okay to say you're not smart enough for certain films. I think it's also okay to say that too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I appreciate the cinematography. I appreciate the acting. I appreciate to a certain level the dialogue, the themes and everything, but just not intensely. Yeah. So solid 6 from both of us, and this has been our review for Cure. I think also one last thing, you could also interpret the title as saying Mamiya believes he's giving society the cure for their illness, of fakeness and whatever. But I'm done reaching for this film. My arms are tired. My arms are tired for reaching, trying to interpret a film. I feel like a good film can be interpreted and discussed, because some of our favorite. Divorce in Black.
Yes. Yes. Great films can be discussed and thought about and mulled over and great for conversation. But if it requires way too much interpretation, that's annoying, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we were pushing ourselves. Yeah. And sort of taking it to the directions maybe it was never intended to.
And to be fair, I think we got it. But maybe there's also things that flew over our heads that we're not getting, and also, points that people can point out that have more experience than us can. So
I mean, it is kind of tiring for us because I do think we mostly watch movies just to enjoy ourselves. Mm-hmm. And yes, we like it when it makes us think, but not just this.
Yeah. But c'est la vie. We hope you enjoyed episode 125 of Simon and Akdi Movie Reviews. If you have any films you think we should review or watch, put them in the comment section. We'll try to get to it. And y'all be easy out there. Peace.